Hi, kids. Welcome back. Remember, we're on part 2 of the Easter story. I don't want you guys thinking about Easter as in bunny rabbits and eggs. Those are old, not good things. But we did them growing up and we're not scarred. We know the difference. I don't think anybody believes in the Easter bunny. But just to say that we're going to finish up this, it's not as long, and then I'm going to go back and recap and ask you some questions and answers. So I hope that you can retain it, and happy Easter. It's about the death, burial, and resurrection of Jesus Christ, which is the gospel. All you have to do is know that you're a sinner, believe that with your heart, and say it. Jesus, I'm a sinner. Save me. Please save me. And he will. That's the same way Miss Nancy got in so many years ago. But let's go on. It's in the book of Matthew, starting in chapter 27. And remember, Jesus had just gave up the ghost. Here we go. And behold, the veil of the temple was rent in twain, ripped, and it was from the top to the bottom. I believe God was so upset he did that. They said this curtain or this veil was so thick, it would like take tractors to pull it apart. But I just threw that in there for free. But the veil of the temple was rent in twain from top to the bottom, and the earth did quake, and the rocks rent. So there was an earthquake, and the rocks broke in half. Here's some fascinating things, so think about this. And the graves were opened, and many bodies of the saints arose, which slept arose. And here's what they did, and came out of the graves after his resurrection. So this was not the day he died, but the third day, and went into the holy city and appeared unto many. Be sure, if I was asleep out there and the rapture took place, if we had our bodies changed down here, I would go and tell all my people, you better be ready. But then it's too late. Now it's not. So believe it ahead of time is all I'm saying. Now when the centurion and they that were with him watching Jesus saw all the earthquake and those things that were done, they feared greatly, saying, truly, this was the Son of God. And I assure you, he is the Son of God. And many women were there, beholding afar off, which followed Jesus from Galilee, ministering unto him, among which was Mary Magdalene, and Mary the mother of James and Joseph, and the mother of Zebedee's children. And when the even was come, now this is going back to right after he gave up the ghost. We went ahead and told you about the graves opening later on. We're going back to the day when Jesus died on the cross. When the even was come, there came a rich man of Arimathea, named Joseph, who also himself was Jesus' disciple. He went to Pilate and begged the body of Jesus. Then Pilate commanded that the body be delivered. And when Joseph had taken the body, he wrapped it in a clean linen cloth and laid it in his own new tomb, which he had hewn out in a rock. So it was a small cave-like structure, I imagine. It's still there today. It's still empty. And he rolled a great stone to the door of the sepulchre and departed. And there was Mary Magdalene and the other Mary sitting over against the sepulchre. Now the next day that followed the day of the preparation, the chief priests and Pharisees came together unto Pilate, saying, Sir, we remember that deceiver said, that makes Miss Nancy mad every time I have to read it, calling Jesus the deceiver when they were the deceivers. He said, while he was yet alive, after 3 days I will rise again. Command therefore that this sepulchre be made sure until the third day, lest his disciples come by night and steal him away, and say unto the people, he is risen from the dead, so that the last error shall be worse than the first. Pilate said unto them, ye have a watch. He's telling them to do it. He ain't going to do it. I think by now, surely Pilate has heard enough and seen enough that he's really thought some things over. Go your way, make it as sure as ye can. He's putting it all on them. So they went and made the sepulchre sure, sealing the stone and setting a watch. In the end of the Sabbath, as it began to dawn toward the first day of the week, came Mary Magdalene and the other Mary to see the sepulchre. And behold, there was a great earthquake, for the angel of the Lord descended from heaven and came and rolled back the stone from the door and sat upon it. I love that little detail. Anyway, his countenance was like lightning, and his raiment white as snow. And for fear of him, the keepers did shake and became as dead men. And the angel answered and said unto the women, Fear not ye, for I know that ye seek Jesus, which was crucified. He is not here. There's the news about Easter, for he is risen. As he said, Come, see the place where the Lord lay, and go quickly and tell his disciples that he is risen from the dead. And behold, he goeth before you into Galilee. There shall ye see him. Lo, I have told you. And they departed quickly from the sepulchre with fear and great joy, and did run to bring his disciples word. And as they went to tell his disciples, behold, Jesus met them, saying, All hail. That's like we say hello. And they came and held him by the feet and worshipped him. Then said Jesus unto them, Be not afraid. Go tell thy brother that they go into Galilee, and there shall they see me. Now when they were going, behold, some of the watch came into the city. Now this is the guards that was at the door or at the tomb, at the door at the tomb. Now when they were going, behold, some of the watch came into the city, and showed unto the chief priests all the things that were done. And when they were assembled with the elders and had taken counsel, they gave large money unto the soldiers, and here's why. Saying, Say ye, his disciples came by night and stole him away while we slept. And if this comes to the governor's ears, and I'll rest assured that it did, we will persuade him and secure you. So they took the money and did as they were taught. And this saying is commonly reported among the Jews until this day. Then the 11 disciples, remember one of them had betrayed him and had committed suicide, went away into Galilee into a mountain where Jesus had appointed them. And when they saw him, they worshipped him. But, just like today, some doubted. How in the world did they doubt then? I don't know about people. And Jesus came and spake unto them, saying, All power is given unto me in heaven and earth. And here's what he tells us to do. Go ye therefore and teach all nations. We need to teach them this stuff. Baptizing them in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Ghost. Teaching them to observe all things whatsoever I command you. And lo, I am with you always, even unto the end of the world. Amen. Well, we're just going to do a quick question and answer thing. But kids, I hope you really realize what Easter is all about. Who, in the first of the story, was some people that was named that was with Jesus in the upper room? 12 disciples. And what was some of the things that they were doing there? Jesus was taking the bread and breaking it and passing it out and saying, Take, eat, this is my body. And then the juice or the wine, and he said, Drink, for this is my blood. So that's what they was doing. And then they took time and they sung a hymn, a spiritual song. But then they left and went into the garden. But during this time, going back to the upper room, one of the disciples got up and walked away. Who was it? Judas Iscariot, the one that betrayed him. Anyway, they went to the garden, and what happened? The disciples were so tired they were sleeping. But Jesus went to pray. What three did he take with him? Peter, James, and John. And he went a little bit farther. And he told me, he said, watch him pray. And he goes on to pray by himself. But then he comes back and he finds them asleep. And he goes, Peter. I don't know why he picks on Peter, but Peter is the most passionate. He jumps at everything. But he said, wake up. Couldn't you stay awake an hour and watch with me? But anyway, then the crowds come, led by nobody other than Judas Iscariot. And he told them before they went, he said, I'll tell you how you're going to know which one it is. I'm going to kiss him. So he kissed the face of God's Son, and that's what he did to show him how he betrayed him. And so then Peter, when they was all there, I said he was passionate. He took a sword and cut off Malchus's ear. But Jesus said, Peter, put your sword up, and he put Malchus's ear back on. We'll find out. Malchus must not have learned much from that in another lesson. But anyway, so when Judas found out that Jesus was going to die, I'll go back and ask you, how much did he sell out Jesus for? 30 pieces of silver. But when he went to him and he said, look, I'm sorry, I made a mistake. They didn't care. But what did he do with those 30 pieces of silver? He threw them into the temple. And they said, that ain't nothing to us. So he said, we can't put this in the treasury, It's blood money. So what did they do with it? They bought a field, and that field is called the Field of Blood to this day. But then a whole army gets Jesus. They go to the feast. They're wanting to kill him. At the feast, the governor, Pilate, he says, you pick one prisoner that I released. That was the feast rule. So he said, do you want Barabbas or do you want this man called Jesus? And they hollered, Barabbas. He tried to talk him out. He knew that they'd done it for envy. But he said, well, which one do you want again? And they said even louder, Jesus. And he said, well, why? He ain't done nothing. But he saw he wasn't going to win. So he took and had some water and poured it on his hands. He said, I'm clean of this blood of this just man. No, he wasn't. But they said this, and this happened. Let his blood be upon us and our children. Well, it is still today. But anyway, so they take him to the judgment hall, to the common hall, and they did some things to him. Can you guys remember some of the things? They platted a crown of thorns. They stripped him of his clothes. They put a purple robe on him. They put a staff in his hand. And then they smote him on the face and said, tell us who did it. Tell us who did it. It was bad, guys. I can't imagine being there. They call it the King's Game. But then they took his robe back off, this special purple one. It says that in one of the other Gospels. And put his own clothes on him. And then they led him away to be crucified. So him and two thieves are on these crosses on the same time. One thief was bad-mouthing them, and everybody was sitting and watching, making fun. If you'll come down, if you'll only come down, if you can save yourself, do it. But, we'll believe if you do all this. But he didn't say a word. He just stayed up there. So then he gave up the ghost after he cried to his Father. And then that evening, who came to beg the body of Jesus, and what did he do with that? Joseph of Arimathea. And he was a rich man. He was a disciple. And he begged the body from Pilate. And Pilate had it delivered to him. Then what did Joseph do with it? He took it down and wrapped it in clean clothes. And he laid it where? In his own grave, in his own sepulcher. And he rolled a stone at the door. So then, early one morning, the Marys came. They was coming to see the body and to put spices on him. But who met him there? The angel of the Lord, which is Jesus Christ himself. He was there. He rolled that stone away. Remember the great earthquake? But after this, the other fascinating thing comes around. But he rolled that stone away and he sat on it. And he told him, he said, don't be afraid. Jesus, he's not here. I know you're looking for him. He's risen. So they go away to tell the disciples like the angel told them to do. And who did they meet? Jesus. But anyway, he goes on to the mountain where he tells them to tell the disciples to meet him. But remember, what other fascinating things has happened when he came up out of the grave? The dead bodies come up out of the graves too, didn't they? And then what did they do? They went to the holy city and they saw many, and many people saw them. But anyway, going back to when he resurrected and he went to the mountain, to the 11 disciples that was left, what did he tell them? He said, I will go with you to the end of the world. He'll never leave you guys, no matter what's going on. And he's always reaching out his hand. So he gave his life so you can be saved. Are you going to slap that hand? Say, I'm not interested. Or are you going to say, Jesus, I need to be saved. I pray if you're not saved, kids, that you will get saved on Easter morning. Remember this story. It is what Easter is all about. See you next time.